You guys gotta leave. It was like, yeah, it's like, yeah, you told me to come in here and then tell you guys that he's not coming. So honestly, okay, see ya.
Samy!
What grade were you in at the time of the 2016 election?
I was in 8th grade.
8th grade.
8th?
8th grade.
I was in 8th grade.
So we're going to talk to you a little bit about the climate in our school and just your feelings around the 2016 election.
My 8th grade history teacher stimulated conversations within the class.
It was the first election where I was old enough to process anything.
The only way that I found out about Trump or what I knew about him was through Snapchat stories or through Instagram memes. It wasn't, through actual news coverage. I was just getting what I saw on whatever was accessible to me.
I don't really follow the news that much. I tend to not care about most things.
But then there were some people who were like, I really don't care who the president is. I think that kind of comes from living in Newton because we're not really affected that much.
But I think a lot of people treat people who have different political views as an enemy and not someone to be reckoned with.
Whenever I would be friends with someone and I would hear from someone else oh, they're a Trump supporter, it would leave this bad taste in my mouth, which I didn't necessarily want.
We lost some good perspective because now we're just thinking the Democrats suck or the Republicans suck. That's not how it is. We're all people, but we don't think about it like that anymore.
People believe what they want to believe, and whether or not it has information behind it, that doesn't change the fact that it's an opinion.
There was a very strong sentiment in my community that was kind of forcing me to think in a certain direction. I would say without the community that I live in, I definitely would not be the way I am today.
I'm not sure about being divided because America itself is still America. We still voted for the president we have today, even though some people didn't vote for him. They're still living here. They're still going to work every day, going to school.
This party has one idea. I'm going to do everything I can to oppose that idea. So that just furthers the divide.
If the sole purpose of our government is to synthesize the ideas of both sides and bring them together and make something that'll appeal to everyone, I don't know why we're so divided.
With anyone that I have disagreements with, things can be solved just by talking, but sometimes people don't want to talk and they just want to be right.
Should Trump build our wall?
Growing up in a family
consider
with
myself an
3 sisters and a really
where we
cool
are,
mom,
I had a majority
not
of the
liking
support
guns.
It was
behind me.
not easy for them to speak their voice.
These are the voices of our peers within Newton South High School, completely raw and unscripted. We asked them honestly about their experiences surrounding one of the most tumultuous and divided moments in the recent history of the United States, the 2016 presidential election. Fortunately for us, their answers were vulnerable and sincere, and our eyes were open to the many complexities of forming and sharing opinions.
Hello and welcome to Mind the Gap, an episode part of a larger series devoted to shedding light on the lives and struggles of teenagers living under authoritarian rule. We are your hosts,
Meghan, Katherine,
and Dina.
The 2016 election split our country down the middle, into two sides which claimed they had nothing in common. As the time of the election approached, students and teachers were feeling extremely pressured not to say the wrong thing, moreover, to say the right thing and be accepted by peers. We were all walking on a thin line. One misstep and you fall 1,000 feet and hit cement. When the polls came out, the two sides of America did not begin to fill the gap between them. Rather, political division reached a new peak. Why?
As we converse with teenagers and parents from countries with political tension even more intense than in the United States, we expected to see some similarities between the U.S. and countries under authoritarian rule. What we discovered was quite the opposite. In countries such as Russia and Haiti, there was, in fact, a lack of political involvement among people.
Let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture of what's going on in Haiti. According to unofficial population clocks, official census data, and electoral data, around a shocking 16% of Haitians voted in a recent election. With only 2 to 5% of Haitians speaking the language politics are reported in, Creole speakers are at a significant disadvantage. Politicians in Haiti primarily speak in French. The The Haitian language, Creole, and French are dissimilar enough that people who speak Creole cannot understand French, nor can they communicate with their leaders as a result.
Rather than try to understand the news, people tend to opt out of politics.
Any political discussion we have in a classroom, and I usually refrain from participating unless it's a subject I know pretty well.
Jada, one of the writers for this podcast, interviewed her mom, Beatrice, who was born and raised in Haiti. Beatrice had lived in a suburban neighborhood in Haiti up until the age of 15. She recounted her days growing up in her home country and reflects on how she lived a carefree life.
Growing up, I played volleyball and playing tags with my friends and jump roping.
So everyone was living more of like a stable, healthy lifestyle?
Yes. You could leave your door open, stay out late.
After reading countless articles and hearing from friends who currently live in Haiti, Beatrice concluded that Haiti today is not the same country that she grew up in.
Do you still believe that the government is meant to protect you? Government meaning the one in Haiti.
For now, I think they're supposed to meant for them to protect you, but that's not what's going on at the moment.
Further, she elaborates on how the Haitian government is actively working against its people due to corrupt officials influencing the judgment of the president.
A lot has changed in my country since I left. Now they have insecurity issues. Kids can no longer play outside due to fear of getting shot or kidnapped for ransom. Prices of goods also has gone up, which makes it hard for parents to feed their children and provide the adequate support for them.
As conflict persists, Beatrice is worried for the children and teens growing up in Haiti today.
Because now most of the young people, they try to leave Haiti. They try to go other places where they can live a better life, better and stable life.
Russia isn't in a great position either. Similarly, people in Russia are silenced when talking about their government. It's almost as if there's an unspoken rule brought on by powerful people and governments who don't want people to speak on their beliefs. Russia and Haiti have had relatively stagnant government systems for the past years. Vladimir Putin, the current president of Russia, and Dmitry Medvedev, prime minister, play a game where they switch off between the two positions of power in order to maintain their regime.
The two teenagers that we talked to, Dunya Okodnikov and Daria Krutzik, had a fair amount to say about their personal lives. However, as soon as the conversation switched to politics, it went a little something like this.
Не знаю, у нас много математики.
Yeah. No.
Cool.
Хорошо. Or in the case of Daria, whom we spoke with over text, her answers went from long paragraphs.
I just so happen to have recently turned 18 years old. I really love art, especially paintings and architecture. Similarly, I love different types of sports from winter. I ski, alpine, and cross-country and snowboard. And summer, biking, swimming, and things like that. But
to not even a complete sentence.
Do you know why you don't talk about politics in class?
Just few who are interested with it.
Do you think it's your generation that isn't interested in politics, or your age that changes how you think about politics?
I think it's because of age.
We were at a loss. The language barrier might have played some role, but in both encounters it became clear that they simply had no interest in talking about their government. And the only question left was, why?
Then came Artemy, the father of Dunya, and overall an awesome guy.
He and his colleague are somewhat rebels within Russia, at least against its medical field. They translated Western documents written on medicine into Russian so that doctors had access to information on modern medical care, as hospitals and research are not funded by the government as much as they should be.
Artemy went on to establish his own hospital, with modern technology and treatments. It may seem minuscule, but this kind of act is a protest to the government and its failure to create an effective healthcare system. His defiance is what drove us to interview Artemy and his daughter in the first place. Maybe rebelliousness is genetic or something.
However, the interview with Dunya soon proved otherwise. But not to worry, Artemy provided a really powerful explanation as to why there was such a lack of passion in teenagers surrounding politics.
Those in power are just some incomprehensible adults who are always there and aren't going anywhere. Everyone's tired, and everyone more and more understands that what truly matters is what will happen after, or simply do not think about it. The choice is more likely between staying here and not staying. There pretty much aren't Putin supporters in this generation anymore.
Clearly, people have become apathetic and fed up with their administrations. If there were to be some force of change in the stagnant political atmosphere, people living under such leadership would be encouraged to become involved in politics.
With controversial and/or corrupt leadership, one would expect a social divide. But as Daniel, one Newton South sophomore, reminds us,
I was really thinking like black and white, good and bad, but now I see, there's so many layers to it. It's not just you can vote for Hillary, you can vote for Trump.
the empathy that people have for each other in places like Russia and Haiti is often overlooked.
Do very strong conflicts happen where two students attack each other verbally because of different views?
No, everyone generally understands that all have it different and understand that it would be hard to beat someone.
Although it was hard for Americans to empathize with the other side during the election, we have the privilege to be able to disagree, because ultimately, Americans do have a firm say in the future of their country. We believe having your voice heard is a right, not just an American right, a human right. Teenagers are the world's future, and truly the power to incite change is in our hands. Starting in high school classrooms, empowerment to participate in politics will branch out to the rest of society through the most woke generation yet, Generation Z. It all starts with a conversation.
If you feel comfortable sharing, which political party do you align yourself most with?
Again, we live in a place where it's mostly a democratic view,
Yeah, that can be a really
and
dangerous thing.
someone who has an opposing opinion to that is usually
There was like
silenced.
this stigma to just saying anything,
So would you
having
say that
any
you have strong
opinion
political beliefs?
other than the mainstream one, like very black and white, good and bad. But now I see, there's so many layers to it. It's not just you can vote for Hillary, you can vote for Trump.